Well, hello, everybody. It's good to be with you again, as always. I just smile every time I think about the time we'll share with each other. Uh, Today, I've been thinking about something that I think a lot of us have talked about at one point or another in our life journey. And that is the topic of willpower. Do I have it? Don't I have it for it to go? When will I get it back? How do I find it? All those kinds of things that seem to help us stay on course. Willpower power often gets treated like a vague force of some kind, something we seem either to have or we don't have it. Uh, but science shows that willpower is far more dynamic and trainable than we might initially think. It is not beyond our control. Understanding it is the key to actually building more of it. There are actually three faces when you think about it that willpower has. Willpower isn't just saying no to that cookie or pushing through a workout saying, yes, I can do this, I can go the distance and completing it. There are three distinct forms. I will, I won't, uh, are the two I think we know the most, but add to that, I want. I won't is about resisting temptation most often, choosing not to do something you know isn't in your best interest or because you're too stubborn to see it any other way. I will refers to the ability to follow through on something that is a positive action in a general sense of the use that supports long-term goals. It can also be a sign of contrariness from time to time. Uh, Even if the goal is uncomfortable or tedious, I will help you stick to it. I want uh, is that inner compass that keeps you focused on your bigger values or long-term aspirations. So that's the framework within which I'm sort of operating today. Willpower is the thread that links short term choices to long term identity. Uh, and your brain happens to be behind whatever strength you may have as you move forward through the process. Uh, that said, um, willpower lives in a particular region of the brain, which is called your prefrontal cortex. It's the part of the brain responsible for planning, for decision making, and generally speaking, for regulating behavior. It's what I like to think of as the voice of reason that can override impulses, pleasure seeking parts of your brain. The one that keeps you from skipping school when you're a kid. But here's the catch. Willpower is a finite resource. It has limits. When you use it throughout the day by avoiding distractions, making tough decisions, or sticking to a strict routine, you gradually drain your capacity for self-control. That may be why, little kids act up getting close to bedtime. They've just about used up every little drop of willpower they might have as they're growing and learning. This phenomena is something that psychologists tend to call ego depletion. And while some researchers debate how universally it applies, many agree that actual mental fatigue plays a real role in our ability to stay pretty much disciplined. This explains why it's harder to say no dessert in the evening than it is at breakfast time. Usually, you're just not as hungry at breakfast time as you are in the evening. And besides that, you're mentally tired from the day's challenges. This is what you call the willpower decision fatigue connection. You're maybe even too tired to make really good choices sometimes. Another important concept is decision fatigue. Each choice you make, even the little ones, like what to wear or what to eat, uses some amount of mental energy. By the end of the day, your brain may simply be too worn out to make the best decisions. This is one reason why successful people like Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit every day. That way, he reduced trivial decisions and left more willpower for the important ones. It's also, I think, where the expression comes from, let me sleep on it before you make an important decision. So, what can you do to protect your willpower from this kind of drain? One of the most effective approaches is to build habits. When an action becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth or locking your front door, it no longer requires the same amount of conscious effort. That means you preserve your willpower for more complicated or tougher tasks. Uh, if you look at willpower, stress, and your environment, I think you can see that stress is one of willpower's biggest enemies. When you're stressed, your body goes into a flight or fight mode, prioritizing immediate rewards over long term goals. This makes it much harder to delay gratification or stay on track with your commitments. That's why controlling your space, your environment, mentally and physically, is so crucial. Willpower works best when you don't have to use it constantly. For instance, if you're trying to cut back on snacking, it's a lot easier to succeed if there's no candy in the kitchen. Um, you can explore more strategies that are similar to this that can increase your willpower. Uh, Things like environmental tweaks, positive reinforcements, and mindfulness can definitely help with your level of stress. If you know that piece of pie is sitting in the refrigerator, it's almost like it's calling your name, telling you it's still there and it's getting stale. It's easier to stay disciplined if your goals feel meaningful to you. That's where you put on the I want face of willpower. When your decisions are tied to your values, whether that's being a good parent, staying healthy, or achieving something creatively fulfilling, you're more likely to persist even when it's tough. For example, someone training for a marathon might push through early morning runs, not because they enjoy getting up at 5 a.m., but because finishing the race aligns with a personal goal that they've made of proving resilience or achieving something that once felt to be nearly impossible. I was that way when I ran my first 5K. I did not think that it was going to be easy, but I was going to persist and show myself that I absolutely was capable of doing that. The connection to purpose fuels internal motivation, which is far more sustainable than relying on external pressure or some kind of shame. What I think I would like to see us aim for today is to identify some type of a willpower target that we could work on. Just take a moment to reflect a little bit on an area in your life when you see you'd like to strengthen the amount of willpower you have. It could be eating healthier, it could be going to bed earlier, it could be your screen time or saving money, just one. And then write that down. For example, first write down an I won't behavior related to whatever that is. Write down a will action that you'd like to initiate or continue. And then a want that is tied to it. How will I feel? What is the accomplishment if I choose these actions? Um, a lot of it could be things that you simply will not do. Things, like starting to read a book that you've been putting off for whatever reason is, something you could say, I will do this, I'll when I go to bed at night, before I go to sleep, I'll read a few pages in my book. Uh, and going to bed maybe a little bit early would be related to that. You want to feel more rested and more mentally clear when you start out the day tomorrow. So these are all things that you can sort of look at. Just pick one to flex your mental muscles on. And if you think about it during the course of the week, I'd love for you to write down which action or option you are choosing for this week to exercise your own willpower muscle, and put it in the comments here and share it with everyone. Who knows, maybe your idea will stimulate someone else and say, oh, I didn't think of that. That's definitely an area I could focus in. I need more willpower there. I'm going to flex my muscle. So have a good time identifying what you want to work on, and I'll let you go on with your day and build strength and resolve, and check back in with you later. Have a good one. Bye bye.